Today marks 1 year since my divorce was final. Wait for my pre-workout tingles to kick in while we talk about it. Some things that I did not expect to experience, besides all the sad things like the depression and anxiety and grief that come with divorce that I talk about in my other videos, but some other things that I didn't expect. Number one, having to reparent my inner child that I had no idea was going to come out after divorce. There was a lot of parts of my personality that I had to suppress to keep the peace in a very high demand religion, very intense, radically religious marriage. And so when I got divorced, a lot of those parts of my personality just started popping up because it had the space and room to just come out. And I had to navigate, like, is this part of my personality? Is this a trauma response? Is this just like my inner child rebelling? And having to reparent my inner child while navigating trauma was like a mind F. Like, they don't prepare you for that. That was not in the handbook that I was given. There is no handbook on that. That was wild. Second, tearing down the walls of this very like rigid cinder block box I was forced to live in for 12 years was really weird. I expected to just feel like a feeling of like release and freedom, which I did feel, but it was also felt with very simultaneous like confusion, because I know what life in the box looks like. It's predictable, it's comfortable. I know what this looks like, and to have those walls be gone and to have to find my own box feels a little like you're lost and confused, because although it was toxic for your mind, body, spirit, soul, all the things, and it wasn't where you were supposed to be, at least it was predictable. And now it's gone. So you have to figure out what your boundaries are outside of that box.
I don't know. I get what she's saying. I do know what she's saying, but it just, to me, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. It makes sense in the way that I think she's essentially talking about, I've been a part of something for 12 years. And so outside of that, now I have to figure out who I am, what I want to do, what part of me is this old thing, like what I've been living, versus which part of me is actually me. Like, who am I outside of this? I've taken on an identity, and I'm not sure if that's really actually who I am versus me just being free to explore everything now. The problem with that statement is that modern women tend to say a whole lot without saying anything. And if it's coming off that way to us, then it's probably coming off that way to her ex-husband and her ex-in-laws or whoever was a part of that relationship or support system that they had going on. And I'll go so far as to keep the in-laws out of it, because it's supposed to be you and your husband in the relationship. So to a degree, there's supposed to be support, but they're definitely not supposed to be somebody that you lean on to fix your problems in each and every situation. I think I understand where she's coming from, but it sounds like escaping accountability. It's like he's the problem. He did this to me. He put me in this box. He stripped away everything from me, that to the point to where I don't even know who I am. And once again, we see it's the man's fault. It's the man doing this to me. It's the man oppressing me, right? It never could have been that I said something that I shouldn't have said or done something that I shouldn't have done. It's always his fault. It's in a lot of situations, it's never, oh, we mutually did it. It's, oh, he was toxic. This relationship was toxic, and whatever it is. I wish at some point in time they would just say the full story, or at least even a little bit. Just say what you might have done wrong. That's not, well, the thing that I did wrong was caring too much. Not that nonsense. But hopefully she has something in here that kind of gives us an explanation of what actually happened.
That was freaking weird was I got married at 19. I was a child when I got married. My prefrontal cortex was still mid-development at the time I got married. If you are not allowed to rent a car, you should not be allowed to get married. But don't even get me started on that.
Because you don't need to get started on that. Because there's plenty of people, plenty of modern women that get married at 30, 35, 40, and they still be acting stupid. Is their prefrontal cortex not developed then? It is. It's just that they've decided over those last 10, 20 years to act a fool. this is going to be my personality. I'm going to act a fool. And you might be one of those.
Anyways, so I got divorced at like 30, 31. And so never in my adult life, or really my entire life, except for that 1 year in college that I wasn't married or didn't live with my parents or wasn't married, I had to make decisions by myself, which is totally fine. I have no problem making decisions for myself. Love it. No issue. However, I've never had to make a decision where it didn't greatly affect somebody that I was doing life with. I've never had to go to make a decision and be like, okay, so how is this going to affect this person? I'm going to make a decision. How am I going to pitch this? How's it going to help them, hurt them, benefit them, stress them out in some way? So when I'd go to make a decision, I was like, okay, this actually doesn't affect anybody but me. And that is a weird, weird place to be. That messed with me so much, let me tell you. I could write a novel about how weird this first year has been, but let me just tell you this, okay? You are going to whip through a million different versions of yourself in this first year, and that is okay. Give yourself the space and grace to do it. Okay, you are going to be navigating just a million different versions of yourself, grief, loss, sadness, all while trying to rebuild a new life and keep your kids happy and healthy. And it's going to feel so overwhelming and so hard. But I want you to know you are not alone. There is light. There is love. There is an end of the tunnel. Healing isn't going to happen overnight. In fact, there is no destination to healing. It's going to be daily practice. But just know that you are not alone. You can do this.
Listen, once again, looking for the reason it was so toxic. Why is it toxic? So many times modern women get online and they tell us half the story of what actually went on. And the man just goes on about his business. Maybe he was toxic, maybe he wasn't. But they give their side of the story that really, quite honestly and truly, nobody was asking for. You're not alone. Who said they were alone? There are plenty of people offline that they can talk to that would be on their side and say, yeah, you got it. But most modern women like this are interested in airing out their dirty laundry and taking a dump on the people that they were associated with, married to, and the people that were associated with that person. Even though they don't call any names, this TikTok is probably going viral. Somebody's probably going to see that. And so they're going to go back and show that man that TikTok, or whoever is associated with them that TikTok. And the next thing that you're going to hear from this person is, oh man, I just hate how word gets around in town. And if you have something to say to me, then come and say it to me. Well, you didn't say anything to your ex-husband or anybody that had to do with him. You just came on here playing a blame game, saying this is toxic. I was done this way, mistreated physically, mentally, spiritually. And it makes the man look like he's the devil when you sit down and talk about it and you actually get the real story from these modern women. He really didn't do anything. Y'all got into an argument, y'all disagreed, and you decided to leave. That be it sometimes. That really be it. They be making it seem like men out here just choke slamming, body slamming, tombstoning women all over the place. And that don't even be the case. It just be that your feelings are undisciplined and you think the man is going to bow down and acquiesce and he doesn't. Then you get mad. You're like, this is not for me. I need to get up out of here.
Man wants to buy a house in his parents' names so it won't be connected to his wife in any way, and she can't forgive him. The wife posted to Reddit saying that they've been married for 2 years. Her husband runs a business and she's a stay-at-home mom to their child. They had been talking about buying a house, and she overheard her husband on the phone with his father talking about putting the house in his father's name. That's suspicious. She found out later that his friend had advised him to put the house in his parents' name and then have his parents transfer it to him later so that the property wouldn't be legally connected to her during their marriage. She was, rightfully, furious and heartbroken. She says she caused a scene and that the house buying plan was postponed. Her husband apologized and tried to make things right by taking her for a shopping trip to buy things, but she's still sad and can't forgive or forget. Commenters on Reddit were pretty blunt, telling her that her husband was hiding information from her and destroying her trust.
Hiding information, destroying trust. Big betrayal, I think, is what it is. His attempt to deceive you and leaving you and the kids financially exposed in this marriage isn't to be swept under the carpet. First is a serious conversation with your husband. Stop and tell him how he made you feel and ask why he listened to his friend rather than discussing any concerns with you. Okay? At this point, you also don't know if he will do it again when you've calmed down, quote unquote, or what other financial decisions he's making behind your back. So a man cannot get a prenup. He cannot put things in other people's names. That's big betrayal. But these women are so comfortable talking about how they're going to have an emergency fund. Something that, well, if you leave me, then I got to have something for myself. Okay, well, why is it not the same in the reverse? Why do you get to do things that a man doesn't get to do? You get to make sure that you're okay, but then when he does it to you, it's a big betrayal?
And many suggested that this was a symptom of financial and that she should get her financial house in order, get a job, and lawyer up. Financial includes tactics to conceal information and limit a victim's access to assets, like a house, according to the NNEDV. Financial makes it difficult for a partner to leave a relationship, and when they finally do escape, they are often left with no assets, and it's very difficult for them to rebuild. It's likely worth this woman's time to consult an attorney and find out what her rights are in her state. And as far as rebuilding trust, it's going to take a whole lot more than just a shopping trip.
I hope you consider that next time, like I said, when a man is saying, wait a minute, and I'm thinking of a clip right now where the woman put away $20,000 and they were struggling. She was still siphoning money. Like, I think she was a stay-at-home wife. And she was still, even though he had lost the job, he got another job, but it was significantly less than what they were making, and they were struggling. And he was going to pick up a second job, I think. And she was still staying at home. And then he found out that she was siphoning money and had about $20,000 in a separate account. And he was like, man, why am I busting my behind and breaking my back to do this? And you're taking money. I'm thinking we're not making enough money, but it's actually you siphoning money into your own emergency fund. Why didn't I know about this? You could have been taking that money and putting it towards something to help us out, investing it or doing something, but you're giving it to yourself. You're not even doing the pay ourselves first. You're paying yourself and nothing for me. Modern women always want to leave women out in the cold, but then if a man were to do the same thing to try to protect himself, there ain't no explaining. It's a betrayal.
It takes 2 minutes to get married in the system and about 2 years to get divorced, if not longer. If you don't know, it's all a sham. It's all a scam. I'm one of the rare ones that actually initiated the divorce. Usually it's the other way around. And I had a lawyer. She had a lawyer. And we ended up settling. But I settled without my lawyer, and I'll tell you in a bit why. My thing is this. If we were going to settle, why drag it out for 2 years? Why? So the two lawyers could keep making money, that's why. So they can bill each of us for talking to us, for sending us an email, for sending a fax, for sending some email to each other, right? My initial lawyer quoted me a price, ended up charging me like 3 to 4 times, which is totally wrong. I'm not going to badmouth him, whatever. It is what it is. Like I told the judge, I'm never getting married again, because he told me yesterday, you can get married tonight. And I told him straight up, Judge, I will never get married again. With a straight face, like it wasn't a joke. Just to shut him down and let his buddies know that I'm not falling into the system again. Whatever.
Not coming back again.
I'm just saying that, just to say that. But
I understand that.
We ended up settling. I let go of my lawyer because he was too slow. He wasn't doing anything for me. He wasn't even negotiating. The other side sent me some outrageous settlement agreement. Outrageous. And this guy didn't even flinch. He didn't even say anything. I let him go. And I said, you know what? Somehow I'll figure this out. Luckily, the other side wanted to hurry up and settle. So they sent me a 30-page document. I read it over. Whatever I didn't agree with, I sent it back with revisions. And we went back and forth like 6 times. I ended up reading that document like 6 times, which is like a half a novel. And I was happy with everything because I feel like I'm good. I don't have any obligations, and my children are taken care of, and I'm out clean. You know, no obligations, no nothing. Whatever I make now is mine, and that's it. So, you know, this system needs an overhaul because it's not right at all. You understand? But at the end, the judge told me, of all the cases I've heard relating to this type of matter, said, Chris, you're the most professional that has come here.
Yep.
And the other lawyer commended me for, you know, my communication style and how we got things done. So it's over.
Yeah, I was just about to say that about him. He seems like very on top of his stuff. Like he doesn't mess around. He handles business, and you know, just somebody willing to sit down and go over the document over and over again. What do you say, 5 or 6 times? Is somebody who is paying attention. And I also want you to notice that the difference between what modern women get on here and do when they talk about divorce versus what he's doing when he's getting on here and talking about divorce. Most of the time, a modern woman is going to get on and say it was toxic. It was a lot of it going on, a lot of mistreatment, mishandling. And most of the time, it's not going to be physical. But they'll say, well, you know, if it wasn't really emotional because he's a good husband and he's a good father. So, you know, I can't take that away from him because she knows that people are watching. And even if they're not watching, she at least has the common sense or at least that moral fortification to know I'm lying through my behind. But I'm not going to be completely honest. I'm going to have to make something up to get the girl that's on my side. So he was mishandling me spiritually. We didn't go to church like I wanted to, or we didn't pray like I wanted to, yada, 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 yada. It's always going to be something about the man. And they always come at it from that angle. He needs to pay me. I've been keeping an emergency fund. It's time for me to get up out of here. The whole 9 yards. And it's really only, even with the kids, it's slated toward what he did wrong to me, and I'm the victim here, and I got my kids, and I'm out. I've got my support system, and I'm happy. I'm single. I'm going out to party, that sort of thing. Until later on, they come back and regret destroying their marriage. Now he talks about, listen, I don't want to be married, which I definitely understand it, but he's not really, from what I'm listening to, trashing the other party. He's like, nah, I don't want to be part of it. I'm just firmly telling you, I don't want to be married again, right? And they commended him and said, you're a good guy, you're professional. In all my years, this is the most professional I've seen somebody, right? And so when you go through these types of situations, it's going to be extremely difficult. And people probably in the comments of this video will tell you, and people who have been through it will tell you it's extremely difficult because sometimes lawyers and women, they do you absolutely dirty. They do you absolutely nasty. And I've never been through it myself, so I can't really speak to it. But you can observe how they twist and turn, and they, like he said, they don't even try. I'm paying you all this freaking money and you don't even try. Like you're not negotiating. It's like they send over a document. They sent over the document, and you be asking your lawyer, did you read this? Did you see this? Oh yeah. And then they lie and say they saw it. No, you didn't see it. You didn't see it because I never even heard about it. Why don't you tell me about it? Oh, well, we didn't think, my team read it, and we didn't think that it was that important, and yada, yada, yada. You was about to get me. She was about to take me to the cleaners. She was about to take me to the cleaners. She was about to take my kids and everything away from me. I was going to have maybe 10% of what I got. You didn't even, had I not read it, she was about to take me for everything. But that's what these lawyers do. Like he said, they keep on dragging it out. Emo. And I'm not trying to say that all lawyers are like this, because there's definitely, I've seen some people that have hired lawyers. They've had to switch. They had to switch lawyers and then hire another one. And that one that came in, that second one came in, that was all business. No, Your Honor, this, and she, this, and this. Oh, and here's the presentation. Here's the document. And all of a sudden, just like that, within minutes, within seconds, all of that lying dried up. Even until today, all of that lying counteracted because of common sense, because now we know your tricks and your games and you've been exposed. But there are a lot of men that aren't as fortunate to get lawyers and representation like that. So even though I'm married, I definitely get it. I definitely understand it, because there'd be some modern women out here trifling. Stay safe. Till the next video, I'm out.